In the 3rd year of our marriage, Caleb fell in love with his secretary. For her, he was willing to break ties with his family, to abandon his wife and daughter. The day he left, he knelt before the ancestral tablets all night, leaving all his money to me and our daughter. I've wronged you both, but I can't help it. I love her, and I would give up everything for her. I won't be coming back. Family status and money only served to trap me. It was my misfortune to be born into a family with money, but no love. If I can't be with the person I love, what's the point of living? I shot him a glance, decisively signed the divorce papers, and took all the money. Love was a drafty, dilapidated thing. Better to have none at all. At our daughter's first birthday choosing ceremony, she ignored all the priceless objects laid out before her. Instead, she trembled to her feet and reached for a business autobiography written by Caleb's father. Laughter filled the room. A longtime friend of my father-in-law joked, "Looks like this child is going to follow in her grandpa's footsteps." Indeed, she went straight for the most valuable thing there. My father-in-law was beaming, his face practically blooming with a smile. He pulled Zoe into his arms, cooing at her with my mother-in-law. Just then, Caleb's aunt smilingly took the not-so-thick book from Zoe's hands and placed it on a nearby table. "Come now, let's see if the child really likes Grandpa's book, or if it was just the closest thing." I looked at her but said nothing. Caleb's aunt had once tried to set him up with her goddaughter, a hopelessly ambitious attempt. Caleb's family had flatly refused, choosing a marriage alliance with my family instead. Naturally, she didn't dare complain to Caleb's parents, but she never missed an opportunity to show her disdain for me. I had been too lenient with her in the past, thinking it best to avoid trouble. But today, she dared to cause a scene at my daughter's first birthday. The book was now on a table far too high for my daughter. Zoe looked up at it, then glanced at her grandfather, a puzzled expression on her face. Caleb's aunt let out a loud laugh. "Can't get it now, can you, Zoe? You'll just have to grow faster to reach it." I was getting annoyed and was about to say something, but then I saw my daughter stretching her little hand toward the table. Getting the book was nearly impossible. She was nowhere near tall enough. But in the next second, Zoe did something that astonished everyone. She grabbed the edge of the heavy, antique tablecloth that nearly touched the floor. Then, taking a step back, she yanked the weighted fabric down. The tablecloth slid to the ground, and the book tumbled down with it. Zoe giggled, picked up the book, and waddled back into her grandfather's arms like a little penguin. Caleb's aunt was dumbfounded. This child. She's quite clever, isn't she? Yes, very clever. Haha. My father-in-law's face was covered in happy wrinkles. My darling granddaughter. I just adore her. Haha. Zoe, come. Let Grandpa have a good look at you. The crowd was still in shock. My mother-in-law stood up and spoke to Caleb's aunt. "Honestly, what are you doing? Making things difficult for a child." The aunt's face turned crimson as she mumbled some pleasantries, and the matter was dropped. Caleb and I stood on the periphery while most of our parents' friends and relatives crowded around the center. The chatter was lively. "I have to leave soon," Caleb said, standing very close to me. I glanced at him. "How difficult it must be for you, having to make a special trip for Zoe's birthday. I hope it didn't keep you from your soulmate for too long." Caleb frowned at me. We stepped out of the crowded hall into a quieter part of the estate. The old mansion was vast, designed in the style of a classical Chinese garden. "You didn't need to speak to me like that. It's only natural for people's feelings to change. I just happen to prefer her type. What does your preference have to do with me? Do you feel the need to remind me?" I found even looking at him irritating. "If you've got the guts, marry her. Why are you even comparing her to me?" Caleb fell silent, his face clouded with displeasure. As I turned to leave, he grabbed my arm. "Lucy, what will it take for you to tell our parents that we're getting a divorce? You're the one who did something wrong. You're the one who got another woman pregnant. Why should I be the one to announce it? So I can take the blame for you." Caleb looked at me with a weary sigh. "Lucy, there's really no need to drag this out. A separation would be better for both of us. Are you happy living in this house every day, knowing your husband's heart belongs to someone else? Why can't we part on good terms? My company is in the middle of an IPO, and our families have billions in joint ventures. Why would I throw away money? Is money all you see now? Lucy, you've never wanted for money. You're the only daughter in your family. Are you really so desperate for a little more?" Have you completely lost yourself to greed? Caleb softened his tone, reasoning with me politely. Our families are equally wealthy. How could you be short on money? Living a happy life is what's most important. Caleb could have been a decent partner if he hadn't cheated. He came from a good family, sailed through prestigious schools, and never experienced any real hardship. It was because his life had been so smooth for over 20 years that he had such a pleasant temperament, always polite and courteous to everyone. Even with people he disliked or looked down on, he would offer a few bland pleasantries to keep up appearances. Perhaps it was because his life had been too easy, too devoid of excitement, that he had an affair. Caleb betrayed our marriage during my pregnancy, getting involved with his secretary. A man who was otherwise decent was now consumed with one thought: how to bring his true love into the family. She can't come in, and you can't leave, unless you're willing to give up everything your family owns, I stated, laying the facts out plainly. I wanted his money, all of it. Caleb's family was obsessed with appearances and had no tradition of divorce. Without my consent, he would have a hard time getting his way. You think so little of me, he said, a faint smile on his face. Lucy, money means very little to me. I'm not like you or my parents, who only see money. I offered a placid smile. Lucy, think about it. Don't you feel that in families like ours, our choices are so limited? We don't have the right to pursue true love. I thought you would be like me, that you'd have the courage to resist. But you. Caleb sighed, looking at Zoe today. I feel so sorry for her. She's born at the top of the pyramid with a background others can only dream of. But she'll likely never be happy because her choices will be so few. Are you kidding me? I took a deep breath, fighting to control my anger. Too few choices. I'm sorry. I don't understand what you mean. Caleb, did you grow up drinking morning dew? Your detachment from reality is laughable. From childhood, you lived in the best peak-top villa, casually looking down on the world from your family's property. The restaurants you frequented had views of all of Victoria Harbor. If not for your wealthy parents and family, do you think you would have enjoyed any of that? From day one, you had the best tutors, the most authoritative agencies planning your future. You went to the most expensive top-tier private school in Switzerland, then an Ivy League university. Yes, I don't deny your own efforts played a part, but without your family's support, Caleb, do you really think your life would have been so smooth? I looked at him, the absurdity of it all growing. You dropped out of the Ivy League on a whim, decided to start a photography team in Scandinavia, and when your venture failed, you applied to another top university as if nothing happened. Were your parents short on giving you choices? Do you genuinely believe your life is so terrible? Anyone else, anyone who needed to support a family or didn't have such a massive fortune, could never have lived so comfortably. Did you teach Zoe to do that today? Caleb deflected, changing the subject. His words only fueled my irritation. I don't want to slap you on Zoe's birthday. Don't push me. I'm not saying you're manipulative. I just think it's not good for a child to be too clever. If I hear you say one more thing about my daughter, don't blame me for getting nasty. Could I have possibly predicted that your aunt would try to bully a small child? I was standing far away from her. Could I have telepathically told her what to do to please her grandfather? Caleb, don't forget, it was your father who put that book there on a whim. Then perhaps I was overthinking it. I apologize. Who needs an apology from a fool? Save it and figure out how you're going to explain yourself to your parents. I turned and walked away, glancing back once to mutter, idiot. The atmosphere in the old house had been pleasant all day, with Caleb's parents smiling constantly. That night, after the last guests had left, Caleb knelt on the floor. It was the calm before the storm. Dad, Caleb began. His father's expression changed in an instant. I know the disgraceful thing you've done, and I know what you want to say. I'm telling you now, if you bring it up, don't blame me for disowning you as my son. Mom. Caleb tried again. My mother-in-law flinched, then sat down next to me, holding the baby. Don't call me Mom. Caleb lowered his head, silent. The silence stretched between us. Dad, Caleb spoke again. You should know me. Since I was a child, whenever I set my mind to something, no one could stop me. Dropping out to start a business was my idea. Opening a photography studio was my idea. Even going back to school was my idea. You disagreed with all of it at first, but I did it anyway. So, if I really want to do something, you can't stop me. Are you threatening me now? His father's voice was low, perhaps not to scare the child, but it was filled with authority. That's not what I mean. I just want freedom. Caleb's stupidity was comical. It's because I've given you too much freedom that you've crossed every line of basic human decency. Do you think you're so brilliant? Caleb, when everyone was against you dropping out, you didn't listen. You submitted the papers and walked away free. While I had to send people to clean up the mess, you wanted to start a business. I didn't object, nor did I interfere with your dream as you claim. I simply said you were too idealistic, that you couldn't just do things your way. You needed to at least consider if your project could have long-term success in the country you chose. But did you listen? You bought a plane ticket and left. You had no money, no connections, and no resources. I had no choice but to secretly find experienced people to help you for the sake of your idealism otherwise. How do you think you secured funding so easily? But even with all my help behind the scenes, you still failed, didn't you? You called home, complaining that the market wasn't what you'd hoped for. Your mother and I advised you not to be so headstrong, that nothing happens overnight. But did you listen? No, you didn't, his father said, his voice rising. Caleb's face was flushed with anger. But I never needed your help. I would have tried on my own without you doing any of that. You and Mom are always the same, morally blackmailing me, saying you just want to help, not interfere. But years later, when I've achieved nothing, you come back to criticize me, telling me how much you did behind my back. Fine. Fine. His father sneered. So, by your account, everything in the past was our fault. We were just meddling. What about now? You want a divorce. You made another huge decision all by yourself. Are you proud of that? I'm still so young. Why can't I do what I want to do? Is what you want to do betraying your marriage and having an affair? Then I would rather have never had you. What's the point of saying this now? I'm just making a reasonable request. What law says you can't divorce after getting married? I'll give up everything. Is that okay? Caleb turned and knelt before me. Lucy, I'll give up everything. All right. Everything in this family that belongs to me. I'll leave it all to you and our daughter. I'll give it all to you too. Just let me go, please. I looked at Caleb, long past the hysteria and despair I felt when I first discovered the truth. I have only one question. Before we got married 3 years ago, did you know her? Yes. Did you like her then? I just felt she was special. If you felt she was special, then you should have pursued her. Why did you get involved with me? You had someone else on your mind. So why did you agree to marry me? Why didn't you say something when we first met? Why didn't you say something when we got engaged? When our families proposed the marriage? Why did you agree? Is your freedom the only freedom that matters? And everyone else's is just a joke? Lucy, you never loved me that much either. So why are you reacting like this? Weren't we just a family alliance? This could have been an amicable split. Why are you asking so many questions? Is it just because my affair embarrassed you? Caleb. I said his name. What makes you think I didn't love you? If I didn't love you, why would I have been with you? Caleb sighed. But you have to ask if I ever needed that love from you. People's feelings change. I want to be with someone I truly love. And you can go pursue your true love. No one is stopping you, are they? I just don't get it. You've never lacked for anything your entire life. Lucy, you don't lack money. You don't lack love. Why do you take marriage and love so seriously? Can't you just be more easygoing about it? Suddenly, Zoe began to cry. So, you're abandoning your daughter too. She's pregnant. I'll have other children. My mother-in-law stood up, holding the baby. Get up. You don't need to kneel anymore. None of us can bear such a gesture. Well, just pretend we never had a son. Mom. Caleb looked up. Don't be angry. Can we talk about this calmly? Caleb, you don't need to stand here glorifying your love story while demeaning me over and over. I agree to the divorce. Are you satisfied? I said. My father-in-law also stood up. Your mother and I should have faced reality long ago. Someone like you, who has lost all basic principles, can't be expected to inherit the family business and carry on the family name. Since you said you only want freedom, then be prepared to hand over everything this family has given you. I can sign an agreement to transfer all my money, property, and the shares you gave me to Zoe's name. Not necessary. His father cut him off. Since you plan to leave this family, those things have nothing to do with you anymore. You have no right to decide what happens to them. I will reclaim everything that belongs to you in this family and reallocate it to the child and Lucy rather than letting you write the agreement. What if you decide you want it all back one day? Should Lucy and the child have to endure your harassment? I took the baby from my mother-in-law's arms, intending to put her to sleep. Caleb got to his feet, about to head to the ancestral hall. From now on, you are not a member of this family. You have no right to enter. I just want to kneel for a moment, for peace of mind. You don't have to be so aggressive. If you truly don't want to see me, I won't come back. But I am, after all, your only son. If you need someone to care for you in your old age, I will take responsibility. We don't need you. We have a granddaughter. What do we need you for? Since you've said it, I hope you stick to your word. Don't come begging when you hit rock bottom. And don't come after the money your mother and I leave for Lucy and Zoe. You're overthinking it. Only a businessman like you, reeking of greed, talks about money all the time. You pride yourself on being a responsible father, but all you ever provided was money, and for taking your money, I had to let you interfere in everything. In that case, I'd rather not have your money. It was my misfortune to be born into a family with money, but no love. With that, Caleb left. I began to seriously question my judgment of character. My eyes must have been faulty. How else could I have failed to see he was an imbecile? Perhaps because she had been crying earlier. My daughter was now wide awake and refused to sleep no matter how I tried to soothe her. There was a knock on the door. I opened it, holding the baby. Caleb's parents were standing outside. Lucy, your father and I have discussed this. Our families don't live far apart, and we've been good friends with your parents for years. It was our failure in raising our child. If you're willing, after you divorce that monster, would you let us adopt you as our goddaughter? From now on, the family's fortune belongs to you and the child. That beast may be clueless, but we know you're a good person. You're capable. You have a brilliant business mind. And Zoe is so smart from such a young age. We would feel at ease leaving the family's legacy in your hands. My mother-in-law added, Lucy, I genuinely love you. You're loyal and kind. A wonderful person in every way. Caleb was never worthy of you. If you agree, we can arrange a meeting with your parents, the four of us, and have it notarized. If you don't want to, we won't force you. But the money will still be yours and the child's. Your father and I promise you, Caleb will not get a single cent from now on. I looked down at my daughter, who was happily blowing bubbles in my arms. Though she had lost the right to be poor at such a young age, she had gained happiness. I agree. There was no reason not to. Caleb was always an efficient person. It was clear he wanted the divorce finalized as quickly as possible. He was waiting for me in the living room early the next morning. I had the divorce papers drawn up. If there are no issues, just sign here. There is an issue, I said, sitting across from him, ignoring the papers on the table. What issue? Caleb looked confused. You haven't even read it. Of course there's an issue. Why are you sitting on my couch? Caleb froze for a moment. Don't be ridiculous. Lucy, this is my house. Not for long, I said, adjusting my posture to be as comfortable and leisurely as possible. No matter what, this is still my home. My parents are angry with me, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm their only son. No need to emphasize that you're a man. I cut him off. We're all just people. Caleb glanced at me and said no more. He tried to stand, but the next second, he fell to his knees with a hiss of pain, struggling to get back up. I didn't realize you enjoyed kneeling so much. I mocked lightly. My legs are bruised from last night, and they're still numb. What's wrong with me sitting for a moment? You don't have to torture me like this. Didn't you hear what Mom and Dad said yesterday? This is my home, and Zoe's. They said that, and you took it seriously. Lucy, now I see it. Your greed is truly unsightly. Do you dare to take on such a massive inheritance? You really don't see yourself as an outsider, do you? Oh, Caleb finally managed to struggle to his feet, leaning on the sofa for support. Zoe is a girl. After all, you don't really think that after my parents are gone, you and Zoe will be able to manage such a large enterprise, do you? I shot him a look. I didn't realize you were so archaic. I didn't give him a chance to speak again. Forgot to tell you, Caleb, I have a very strong sense of what I deserve. Since Mom and Dad want to give it to me, I will take it, without any shame, and am not one for self-doubt. So you don't need to keep bringing up your relationship with them. No one is denying that. But you wanted to have your cake and eat it too. And you push things to this point. That's your own foolishness. Why shouldn't I take what they offer? Isn't Zoe their granddaughter? Caleb, you don't actually think I should give up everything. Take only the child. And leave with nothing, do you? You're delusional. I'm keeping the daughter. I'm keeping the money. And I'm keeping your parents. From start to finish. You are the trash being thrown out. You don't need my family's money, do you? Even without it, you're more than capable of giving yourself and Zoe a wealthy life. Not everyone's logic is as bizarre as yours. Who complains about having too much money? I certainly don't. You're right. I don't need the money. My family is just as prominent as yours. And my parents only have me. But my wealth doesn't mean I should give up the rights I'm entitled to. Zoe, is pitiful to have a mother so obsessed with money. Excuse me. I don't accept your baseless accusations and slander. With a mother like me, no one could be happier than Zoe. I interrupted. Zoe will have a clear mind and inexhaustible wealth. She will have countless paths to success. She was born with the accumulated wealth and connections of two families. She can do anything she wants, as long as it's not immoral or illegal, because she has endless opportunities for trial and error. Her family has the means and capital to ensure she is a happy person and to pave the way for whatever she wants to do. That's just what you think. How do you know that's what Zoe truly wants? Go ask anyone on the street if they'd be interested in a life like that. Lucy, do you know why I don't love you? Because you're just like my parents. You only see money. Is that so? Then I should thank you for letting me see your true colors so early, without wasting my entire life, I said, unconcerned. You're too idealistic. Even if you shower Zoe with resources her whole life, how can you guarantee she'll turn out to be exceptional? Lucy, for someone as calculating and meticulous as you, could you accept it if your child wasn't outstanding? Huh, I scoffed, finding it increasingly pointless to bother with this fool. I told you, as long as she's happy. My daughter, do you think she needs to struggle? She came into this world to enjoy life. Even if she becomes a baker, she'll be the happiest baker, with a complete and unique personality. Aren't you afraid that a child from a single-parent family will have psychological problems? You think too much. I stood up. Having a father like you would be a stain on my daughter's life. Not having one is for the best. Honestly. I thought for a moment. I find you laughable. Caleb, if you were truly unhappy living in a wealthy family, I could understand your desire to escape it all. But were you really unhappy in a family like this? You find money vulgar and look down on your parents' wealth. Yet you enjoy all the conveniences your family provides, including, but not limited to, the capital and connections from your parents. The respect and admiration you've received for the first 28 years of your life simply because of their status. And the custom-tailored suit you're wearing now, along with your $1 million watch and cufflinks. So, haven't you benefited from money to enjoy all the perks while hypocritically claiming you don't care for it? Don't you see the contradiction? Caleb was silent for a long time. Just as I was about to ask him to leave, he suddenly said, I'm sorry for what I did to you and our daughter, but I can't help it. I love her, and am willing to give up everything for her. You don't need to stress that point to me. I have no interest in how much you love that woman. It has nothing to do with me. I had already grieved back when I discovered Caleb's affair during my pregnancy. I was in my 3rd trimester. Yet he betrayed me without a second thought. He never once considered what would happen if I found out, or if something might go wrong. For that alone, he deserved to suffer. I am not a forgiving person. He was the one who betrayed our marriage and our vows. So he should be the one left with nothing. The one to be thrown out to live a life of poverty. You reap what you sow. He was born in a honeypot, but insisted on planting a bitter fruit. He brought it all on himself. He had no one to blame but himself. I won't be coming back. Family status and money only serve to bind me. Caleb continued, speaking to himself. If you put it that way, then I should thank you. I hope you mean it. Get as far away as possible. And don't ever come back. As long as he stayed away, the family fortune would all belong to Zoe. If I can't be with the person I love, there's no meaning in living. Get out. I couldn't stand to listen to another word from him. I had endured this for over a year. Long enough. Ever since I discovered Caleb and his secretary before Zoe was even born. I had considered divorce. But on reflection, it wasn't a good deal. Even with Caleb at fault, I would at most get half of the assets in his name. And because his parents were cautious about handing over the family business to him while he was still young. He didn't actually own that much yet. It would be beneficial for my daughter to have grandparents who doted on her and could pave her way. So I didn't push for a divorce immediately. Even though I wasn't short on money, I wouldn't let go of what was within my grasp. No one ever thinks they have enough, especially when it comes to money. Besides, if I had insisted on a divorce, his parents wouldn't have stopped me. That would have made things too easy for Caleb and that woman. They were the ones who made the mistake. Why should I be the one to flee with my daughter like a fugitive? Everything that rightfully belonged to Zoe would be hers. I would get it all back for her. Over the past year, Caleb's kept woman, Amber, had tried to contact me multiple times. I never caused a scene. I simply let my mother-in-law see the contents of my phone. She wasn't foolish. Even a small clue was enough for her, with her resources and connections, to piece together the whole story and find the woman. She did confront Amber, but Amber was greedy. Her goal was to marry into the family. She wasn't going to let go of a cash cow like Caleb just because of a warning from his mother. So she escalated, trying to use me to blow the situation up. When Amber sent intimate photos to the mansion, I never looked at them. I just left them where the butler or the maids would eventually find them and show them to Caleb's parents. As for the emails she sent later, I would open them and then add fuel to the fire. I'd change the IP address and send another email to the elders in her name. With money, you can hire any kind of tech expert. Caleb's mother tried to warn him privately, but he was always stubborn and wouldn't change his mind for anyone. Patience wears thin. Eventually, Caleb's parents grew tired of him and the whole affair. When Caleb's love for the other woman reached its peak, he would inevitably be the one to demand a divorce. Once he brought it out into the open, he would have sealed his own fate. That's why his parents were so furious yesterday. Coincidentally, Zoe had been living at the mansion for a year, and her grandparents had become deeply involved in her life. When you invest your heart in something, you value it more and more. On one side, a young granddaughter who could be nurtured. On the other, a failed pawn. The choice was obvious. Caleb's parents were not old-fashioned traditionalists who favored sons over daughters. Building an empire is hard, and maintaining it is just as difficult. All they ever needed was a worthy successor. After all the divorce procedures were completed, I took the freshly issued certificate, glanced at it, and put it in my bag. Amber was the one who came to pick Caleb up. She stepped out of the car, looking unwell. She probably hadn't slept well. Caleb's parents always did what they said they would. They had moved swiftly to reclaim everything they had ever given Caleb. Last night, the last property he owned, a villa on the Peak, was officially repossessed. I heard he was kicked out in the middle of the night. Where they spent the rest of the night was their own business. If I wasn't mistaken, the Louis Vuitton bag she was carrying and the Chanel scarf around her neck were also bought with Caleb's money. Every cent she had spent, I would make her pay back, including the car they had left. I walked toward the woman, but Caleb stepped in front of me. "Lucy, what are you doing? We're divorced. You have no right to interfere in my life." Amber took a step back. I sneered and grabbed her. "You weren't so timid when you sent me explicit videos of you and Caleb, causing me to go into premature labor. Were you? You weren't so high and mighty when you deliberately came to the hospital to tell me you hoped my daughter wouldn't live to grow up. Were you? Without giving the bitch a chance to breathe." I slapped her twice. Hard. "That's for you." "You're welcome." Caleb stood there, stunned. "How is that possible?" "Lucy, what are you talking about? Amber would never do something like that. How could you two have met before?" I didn't hesitate to slap him twice as well. Useless when he should have stood up, but always speaking when he shouldn't. A fool who thought his love was supreme. "You think this is all a lie?" I glanced at Caleb. "If it were, do you think you'd have met your end this quickly?" I never let myself be wronged, and am not the type to suffer in silence. Whatever Amber did, I made sure Caleb's parents knew about it by the next day. I didn't have to tell them directly. I had other ways of letting them know. In short, every move those two made was another step toward their own ruin. When it comes to men, there's no cheap, only cheaper. I looked at the way Amber was clutching her bag, and it looks like your man is very cheap indeed. Congratulations on choosing a pupper. I paused. "I gave him to you. Don't mention it." I got into the luxury car waiting for me, closed the window, and took the phone my assistant handed me. "How many cameras do we have nearby?" 28. My assistant replied. We've arranged 28 cameras, covering every angle. Good. When we get back, you and I will pick a few people from the company's PR department and form a temporary team. From now on, they'll be in charge of managing my publicity. Understood. The company gets traffic, and Caleb and the third party lose what's left of their reputation. It's only right. Like I said, I love a win-win. Anyone who hurts me, I will destroy. 28. That's a good number. It's my age this year. I took out my phone and casually transferred $500,000 to each of my 3 personal assistants. Congratulate me on becoming a multi-billionaire. Epilogue. Perhaps because life was so easy, so free of worries for many years. Time flew by. The next time I heard Caleb's name, Zoe had just won a gold medal in an international physics competition. In the car, Zoe was clinging to me. My dearest mother, considering how thoughtful and brilliant I am, and that tomorrow is my 15th birthday, would you please do my calculus homework for me tonight? Please. I'm begging you. And what are you planning to do? I asked, pulling her favorite drink from my bag. Nothing much. My friends are insisting on going to the stables this afternoon. That's my specialty. Today, I am the designated focal point of the crowd. You're ridiculous. Zoe wrapped her arms around my neck. Mommy, I'll be your puppy forever. I give up. Young lady, you're too old to be acting this cute, I said, telling the driver to change course. I'm having lunch at the old mansion. Are you coming with me? Or should I have someone drop you at the stables? Zoe looked at her medal. Suddenly, I feel the urge to show off. I think I'll go to the mansion first. When we arrived, my in-laws were waiting at the entrance. Zoe brandished her gold medal, looking proud. I'm ready, Grandpa and Grandma. You have 10 minutes for spontaneous praise. Go on. Begin. My mother-in-law laughed and put her arm around Zoe. At 15, Zoe was 59 and already taller than her. Come on in and eat. Zoe, we can talk later. Whatever praise you want to hear, we'll give it to you. Wait a minute. Grandma, how about you do my English homework today? Show me some real commitment. I'm begging you. Let your grandpa do it. He has a meeting this afternoon. He can do it while he's in the meeting. You know, that's not a bad idea. Zoe inherited my competitive nature. She wanted to be perfect at everything and had many hobbies. Soccer, skiing, surfing. She chose to learn them all. Rock climbing, horseback riding, golf. She loved anything requiring skill and enjoyed showing off to her friends. She also chose to learn calligraphy and chess. She loved learning new things, even if she only scratched the surface of each. In her own words, bragging and showing off are the ladders of human progress. You don't have to master everything, but when necessary, you can pretend to be an expert, to better cosplay as an elite. When I walked in, Zoe was drinking water while talking a mile a minute. Grandma, you're the best at compliments. I love you so much. You have no idea how much you've inflated my ego. I'm so touched. Haha, you've made this pleb so happy. My in-laws were used to Zoe's internet slang. Grandpa, you know what? I'm so jealous of you, having a granddaughter as amazing as me. Grandpa, next time we visit the ancestors, you should check if smoke is rising from their graves. How else could they have produced a granddaughter as great as me? As Zoe continued her self-aggrandizing speech, the butler came in. He said Caleb was back. Oh, what a distant name. So distant. I hadn't thought of him in years. Over the years, we weren't entirely ignorant of his situation. When Caleb had money, he spoke of poetry and distant lands. And people were willing to listen because he was basking in his parents' glory. Even if he just stood silently in a room, people would flock to him. But ever since his parents publicly disowned him, everything changed. He became a worthless pauper. And naturally, no one was so tolerant of him anymore. First, due to his own incompetence, he couldn't find a decent job despite his good education. On top of that, his reputation was in tatters. No reputable company would hire him. Then, he could no longer afford designer bags and watches, nor could he support Amber's lavish lifestyle. When Amber finally accepted that Caleb was a broke man, she started fighting with him daily, even cursing at him. Caleb finally broke down. And that was just the beginning. Later, Amber decisively had an abortion and became the 4th mistress of a pot-bellied tycoon, which finally forced him to face reality. He was alone and penniless. and his life was not going well. However, to his credit, he never came to bother me and my leisurely life. Well, he did try, but he was thrown out before he could even see his parents. He couldn't get into the company or the mansion. This time, Caleb was back because he was sick. It was terminal. He wanted to see his family one last time. In the living room, my mother-in-law sat across from Caleb, saying nothing. She then came upstairs, took my hand, and said, "It's so awkward. I don't know what to say. It's been so many years. I don't really have any feelings for him anymore." I didn't respond. Caleb was thrilled to see Zoe and kept trying to talk to her. But Zoe wanted nothing to do with him. To avoid him, she started following her grandpa or me to the office whenever she could. When she found out Caleb wanted to drive her to school, she stopped going to school altogether. Caleb was displeased. "Why are you being so willful? What's so willful about not wanting to go to school? You dropped out of college. Can you stop talking with that sarcastic tone? Just like your mother." Caleb stood in the doorway. He was no longer young. I, on the other hand, thanks to money, was as radiant as ever. "You've done every despicable thing imaginable, and you expect me to be nice to you? If you hadn't suddenly shown up, we'd be strangers. Then again, we've barely met, haven't we? Is this how you normally speak? Have you no manners? Even if you've had a smooth life, you can't be this arrogant. What's the difference between us? Don't forget, I'm your father." "Of course there's a difference," Zoe said, scribbling on a Sudoku puzzle. "Your starting conditions were a little better than mine." "What does that mean? Don't misunderstand. I don't mean you're smarter than me, or have higher EQ or IQ. I mean, you had a smart, capable father. My biological father, on the other hand, is a different story. You, don't point at me. You never raised me. What authority are you trying to assert now? So young and so heartless." "Oh, please. Stop trying to brainwash people with your reasons. Everyone here understands life better than you do." Seeing that no one in the family would give him the time of day, Caleb finally snapped and rushed toward me. "Lucy, you don't actually think you've had a successful life, do you? And you don't think success looks like you, do you? All you've ever cared about is money. Better than having no money. It's clear you haven't been doing well." Zoe has no manners. Children from single-parent homes always have personality defects. "Give me a break. Stop putting yourself on a pedestal," Zoe said, her voice calm and steady. "I adore my mom and my grandparents. They give me money and love. They're open-minded and dote on me. Not everyone gets that. I cherish it. You're the only one who would complain. Zoe, one day you'll understand that money isn't the most important thing in the world. Ask yourself, are you truly happy?" Caleb said, trying to coax her. Zoe choked on her own saliva. "Huh, you think this isn't a blessed life? My life's ditches are Maybachs. My fated tribulations are Porsches. And the only bitterness I've ever tasted is an Americano. And you think I'm not happy enough?" Zoe filled out the Sudoku with lightning speed, the paper rustling as her pen flew across the page. "Don't mind him. He's just sick," I said, walking over. Zoe waved her hand. "Don't worry, Mom. My emotional state is more stable than a capybara's." I had the butler show Caleb out. Since he was beyond cure, he might as well save his breath and be quiet. Forgiving him was impossible. However, after he's gone, I might help scatter his ashes. After all, he loved freedom so much, didn't he?